I call the honourable member Keith Locke.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. And again, I would like to add the Green Party's congratulations to your promotion to Assistant Speaker. Thank you very much for the work you've done in this House and will do in your new role. The Green Party is supporting this bill. It's a tidy-up bill, as has been said by other speakers, a consensus bill. But the Green Party has to make a little bit of a complaint that why is this being discussed in urgency? Surely urgency is for discussing the urgent business of the House, and it doesn't appear to us that these tidy-up sections are urgent, and they could be conducted in the normal business of the House, and the Statutes revision bills go through pretty quickly anyhow. There is a misuse of urgency in general that we're involved in at the present time, because it would have been quite easy for the government, which has called urgency mainly around the Canterbury Earthquake Recovery Bill, it would have been quite easy for the government to just extend the state of emergency, which gives it all kinds of powers in the Canterbury area, to extend the state of emergency for a few weeks more and then allow proper select committee consideration of that particular bill so that we get the legislation right. If that's possible. Of course, the Green Party has been opposing that other bill. But just to get back to this particular bill and to follow on from Grant Robertson's speech, the domestic violence issue comes up in this bill in Part 8 of the bill, just some smaller technical amendments. But this issue of domestic violence is also related to other problems in society. The more problems and tensions you have in society, the more poverty there is, the more sometimes those frustrations within a family come out in the form of domestic violence and have to be handled by social workers and the courts. And I think this is another reason why, to get back to the Canterbury situation, and from having friends and relations down there and visiting Christchurch since the February 22nd earthquake, what you notice is greater tensions within families because of the uncertainty of their futures. They don't know where their jobs are going, where their businesses are going. They're in financial hardship. The insurance people haven't come round to give a proper quote on their house and whether it can be repaired, how much it will cost, how much cover they've got, etc., etc. All of these things are up in the air, let alone the provision of adequate water, sewage and all of those other things. So that is the situation ripe for more domestic tensions and potentially domestic violence. So I think it is very relevant to the government's policy, because at the moment a lot of workers, a lot of businesses that have been affected by the earthquake are not sure how long the government is going to continue the income support system. That's due to run out in a week or two, and there's unsureness and nervousness amongst the people in Christchurch that are affected in this way, whether the government will continue the support until they really get back on their feet in terms of full-time, fully paid employment, or in terms of their business operating properly on the level it did before the earthquake. So Grant Robertson also talked about the charities issue and the inclusion of organisations dedicated to sporting to sport under that particular bit of legislation. I think one of the problems with the Charities Act now is the prohibition in effect on advocacy by a number of the charities, and that's an issue that you see in organisation after organisation, and the government has never properly recognised that it's often the people, the charitable organisations at the coal face that are delivering social services, often with money they've got voluntarily from the community. They're at the coal face dealing with poor people, dealing with disadvantaged people, dealing with people suffering all sorts of problems, and they're in the best position of any organisation in our community to offer advice to the government, to offer advice to the community, to engage in informed advocacy. And under the Charities Act, they say that if you're involved in too much advocacy, then you're not really a charitable organisation. You've got some political bias, and therefore we're going to knock you off the list of organisations entitled to charitable status. So, I think that really needs to be looked up and looked at and corrected, because we want, real democracy in our society, which involves all the voluntary organisations contributing to the maximum in the debate around what way forward to overcome some of the social problems we face. So with those few comments, the Green Party will be supporting this bill.
I call the honourable member Tim